Just answering questions with WAPTech on someone saying, I want your opinion, or please give an opinion, of an analysis on a YouTuber channel that claims to be an ex-military intelligence officer who says that the Delphi murder case bridge guy videos or photos and the Snapchat images, or maybe other content, is faked. The individual we're talking about claiming to be a military intelligence person. Military intelligence is vague enough that that could mean a person who worked mopping a floor. It's the same designation you can say. Or somebody who collected intelligence, which is the most common, or someone who analyzed photos, which usually is the part of the Air Force. Military intelligence doesn't. Which branch? Are you a photo analyzer? Unless your job is to analyze photos, mentioning you were in the military doing anything doesn't matter. You could be in the military and actually be someone firing rockets and being a grunt. That doesn't make you a rocket expert. It just means you know how to fire, what we sometimes call a bazooka. That doesn't make you a rocket scientist. So an ex-military intelligence person, officer or otherwise, isn't necessarily qualified. Did this person present all of their qualifications? No. Is it a violation of some sort of rule in the U.S. government for you to do so? No, it is not. If you're evaluating images, no different than you or I can from the Delphi murders, it doesn't matter if you're military intelligence or not, but the military does not tell you not to reveal you were in military intelligence. They tell you it's unsafe for you, might make you a target if you ever go overseas, etc., but they don't tell you you're not allowed to do it. Well, that's top secret. No, it isn't. And also, the individual that you're watching on these videos is not using anything unusual. Web resources and freeware for analyzing images are all over the place. One of them a lot of you are familiar with. I've forgotten the name of it. But it detects, in general, if an image is obviously altered. But it has a caveat page that tells you, by the way, when you upload an image and download it, that alters it. So it'll ignore that. Then the person in question, who claims to be a military intelligence officer, runs the pictures through special effects and filters in various image editing programs to try to suss out the truth. None of them do that. I mean, I'm not going to sit and experiment and explain that. That's already been debunked by everybody else on the net who's part of the kind of community that would do this. This is even criticized on Reddit when they talk about resources for the Delphi case. These are people who basically draw a red mark around something with an arrow pointing at it saying, see, there's a demon head. There isn't a demon head, but they're going to invite you to see it, pareidolia style. Next, claiming the pics are faked. Okay, let's get from the beginning. The images are mostly from Snapchat because they include the Snapchat moniker on the image. And they say X number of hours ago, which is stereotypical Snapchat and all the other websites I complain about. Relative time isn't time. But anyway, Snapchat filters. Everybody who uses Snapchat is aware of the fact that the website auto-awesomes, as Google tried to call it, and alters images as you upload them. Snapchat is the land of Snapchat filters. Why would you assume the website wouldn't alter the image? Next, virtually every image you get on the internet, even the oldest version of these images, are screenshots from someone's computer screen, hopefully done by software, and some of them are people pointing a camera at the screen taking a picture. Instead of getting an app to let them download the image against the will of Snapchat's software system so you can grab the image directly. You can do it within Firefox by hitting a specific set of buttons and bringing up a utility that lets you grab every image from the page one at a time. Just find the one you need and grab it. They didn't do that. Even the police didn't do that. And I want to point out the video and pictures this person is claiming to evaluate are images that were rotated slightly and were taken in some cases by pointing a camera at a TV set or a computer screen by the police. Then there's the data recovered file that you would need. You'd need the original raw file. The original raw file wouldn't say the name of the person who uploaded the picture. The original raw file oddly enough, would be very tilted compared to what we see in the video and photos of Bridge Guy. And the Snapchat pictures of the two girls on the bridge, these images are very clean, but they're still not raw because you can see a name or something on it. You can see a border around it. That means it wasn't a raw image. Raw images that are uploaded from a cell phone don't have a border on them normally unless you tell it to add it. Next, I want to point out that every single image editing program will edit the image while you're viewing it and then save it with an alteration. Many companies, such as Adobe, tell their programs to always mark it as an Adobe image afterwards if it has a blank area to put it in so that they can lay claim to it. Last, every website that lets you download the image like you and I would right now, if we want to go find it, is going to alter the image too, because they're going to stick in a little copyright notice or some tracking data in it for sales purposes, or they'll put an individual serial number buried in the image. It always alters it. So getting the original image requires that you have one available. The police are the only ones with the original image, so an ex-military intelligence person not divulging that and not explicitly excluding his own work at this point, because it's a no-go right there. No. I can sit and analyze the image, visually. I can show you what I can see in it, but I'm not going to run it through some program that's supposed to detect whether it's been faked when, by definition, it's not the original image, so it would always test as a fake, wouldn't it? And that's what's shocking about it. The website the guy's using, and some of the software I see him using on the screen, isn't detecting fakes when they are. Because he's using images from the same web resources. These are totally totally perfect. Really? Because if I run them through, they check as being altered by the website. And again, they have someone's name in the corner, a watermark. Adding a watermark to an image means it's not the original. So this person claiming to be military intelligence, this is someone saying this. I'm not going to go look on their page, going through potentially hundreds of videos to find them claiming to be a military intelligence expert. I don't care. Not relevant. I'm sure it's somewhere really obvious, but I'm not going to bother with it. Let's assume that's true. That can't be true because the person then would be either A, overtly lying to you about being a military person, military intelligence, much less implying strongly image analysis in military intelligence, or military reconnaissance and imaging technician, or some other name like that. But that's not what's being said here. Let's assume that's not. The person claiming to have any expert knowledge of this while using programs that basically add weird effects to a picture so that they can say that they're analyzing it, enhance. On an image they're claiming can't be real by comparing it to another image that has the same level of fuck-up factor because it's from the same internet we all deal with. This is the reason I explain to people until the Delphi murder case is probably concluded, we'll never see the original video file itself or audio file or the raw file they derived it from. And again, almost all the copies of those images of the two girls on the bridge are screen grabs. They're improperly cut. I did my best to get rid of most of that so that I could analyze them as best I could. And of course it showed the edges having alterations by somebody editing, because technically by grabbing the image and cleaning it up, by getting rid of the edges that were left behind, yeah, that's an edit. But this person's running it through a program that's somehow ignoring a white line on one side of the image that was added because he did a bad job cutting and pasting it. I recognize that. That's him fucking around with it in MS Paint. No, that's literally a screw-up in Paint. That's when you're trying to get rid of the edges and borders by select all and moving it over, and then you forget to grab this edge and pull it in. Or maybe he had perfectly squared and then he moved it over to 10 pixels by accident. The point is, everything about the video that I was linked to shows a level of amateurish behavior that I would bar someone from being in a tech lab for if they were doing any kind of data recovery, much less image analysis. Number two, claiming, I hope this person really didn't claim to be military intelligence, because now that's, at that point, stolen valor almost. And any military intelligence person that does image editing would hand it to an expert that doesn't look at images that are 15th generation or something and call those the originals. Well, that's what they got it from. Really? So this is a game of telephone. These files have gone through so many layers. Finding the original images, if I could find them, mostly they're on news sites. They were supposed to be someplace else. I gave up tracking down the originals, and the Snapchat images were not archivable or not archived. Nobody's ever claimed to have the original files. And again, if it has a little watermark, even though that might be the oldest one, that still means it's not a raw image, so it's not going to pass any test that would be really testing, testing for authenticity, much less somebody literally just running photo effects. Again, Snapchat or whatever, Instagram or whatever, it could have been any of them, are the definition of where filters are put in. The websites are designed to alter an image to make it more pleasing. They're not going to be original in the first place. The only original files were on that cell phone or whatever. And again, the news people only show us screen grabs. And I want to point out the news agencies refuse to tell us where they got the screen grabs from. And after a while, there was no way to retrieve it, even if I could run it through an archiver, which is sad. And that's the standard we have in mainstream media. So anyway, the military intelligence claim, I'm not going to double check it. I'm going to just say it can't be true. If this person's claiming to be an expert, they're failing at being an expert. And if they're failing at being an expert, I don't think they were an expert in this area. Next, military intelligence is very vague again. It could be a person who literally just took dictation. It's not relevant. And next, the person is using borderline web-based and commonly available software and misusing it, identifying images that have as much or more modification to it as being original, and missing the point about these images not being first generation, and then randomly applying just visual effects and saying they're enhancing when they're not. The channel evaluation. This individual is doing smoke and mirrors to people to get them to watch the videos. It's clickbait. They don't have anything to offer to the situation. I don't want them quoted to me anymore if possible, please. Unless they decide to stop doing this kind of BS and actually do a serious job on it. Next, at least the person should be compelled to put up a video acknowledging that they do not have original images, so there's no way for any of these evaluations to be valid or usable. And I don't see that happening. So I wouldn't use this as a source for me. Do I believe this person's lying? No, I believe the individual that we are assuming or are asserting is a military intelligence person simply doesn't know what they're doing because they didn't do image editing and image analysis. Your average image faker is a better source for analysis. The average 14-year-old kid taking a class in Photoshop is better than this guy. And I would like to point out, if this person is not being deceitful, the person is being incorrect and should be told that. But at least they left their comment section open for people. If anybody wants me to analyze the original images and video, number one, I can go I made a video on how to find at least the first version of the images and the video of the bridge guy, and the first or oldest versions of the photos of the two girls on the bridge. I had a video showing you how to find them. And again, they were just screen grabs. They were done poorly by the news. If anybody wants me to redo that video or whatever, okay. But I don't really see a point in doing it anymore. They caught somebody they think is guilty, and we've all seen the images anyway. But this really fine pixel analysis of stuff that keeps happening, enhance, is a damn joke. And I'm getting tired of these. But to the person who runs that channel, they may just simply not know that they don't know what they're doing. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.